Hi, my name is Stephanie and I'm here from Lakeside Garden Gallery, and today we'll be showing you how to make a harvest wreath out of a Salem wreath and picks that are available in our store. So the things that you will need will be some wire. If you don't have floral wire, any wire will do as long as it's a fairly fine gauge. Twist ties will actually work just as well. A glue gun. You may need some scissors or a knife and some ribbon and a wreath, obviously. So let's get started. These are our picks, and you can either use them as is or they can be separated. If you look down here, you will see that they're all done up together with like sort of it's almost a papery kind of textured tape. So I'm actually going to take the pumpkin off this one. So let me just demonstrate here. I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to slice the paper a little bit and then extract the pumpkin, because he's going to be a little difficult to work with the whole thing. And you can do that with any number of any of these items in here. You could take your pine cones out or your leaves and separate them if you wish. Sometimes you might want to just use it as is. This is bendable. There's wire inside. So I'm actually going to take a little bit more off this because it's going to be a little bit easier to work with if it's smaller. There we go. And because they're all wired, you can arrange them as you like to a point. There's wire up to a certain area. These ones here, obviously, that's just plastic, but up to about here or so, you can sort of bend them around and make them work to your will, if you want to put it that way. So I'm just going to bend it a little. We're going to be doing a crescent wreath today. So take a good look at your wreath and make sure that you're covering up any sort slightly bare spots. Because these are a natural product, they're not always perfect. So there will be a little bit of bareness of the wire here and there. So you want to try to cover those bits as much as you can. So we're going to bring this over here. And I think that looks pretty good there. So if you want to put your pick on, you have a couple of options. You can bend this in and tuck it into the wreath and cut it off on the other side. And then, of course, you would have to glue it as well. I'm going to make it easier, though, and just cut the whole thing right now, if I can. It's a little tough, especially when you're cutting through all of them. Sometimes if you bend at the same time, it helps. Yeah, this is definitely an editing job. Come on. There we go. Okay, so you'll be left with some little wires sticking out. Just bend them in. And then when you figure out where you're going to put it on the wreath, you can just tuck those inside the wreath. All your little ends here. Just watch your fingers because they are a little pokey. Okay, so we're going to try to cover up. Let me just see which side is best. This side looks better. Okay, so I think we'll start over here. So we're just going to poke this little end in here, just to give it a bit of an anchor before we glue it down. And there we go. So we take our trusty glue gun and try to hide the glue as best you can underneath stuff. And the most important thing about a glue gun, I tend to wire things on most of the time because I hate the look of glue strings. To me, that just makes things look very unprofessional and just not quality. So I tend to go around after I'm done in bright daylight and hold it up to the sun and make sure there's no little stringy bits hanging off. It'll really improve the look of your final product. Because of course you want something you can be really proud of. So you're going to want to hold it down until it cools. And don't worry about blobs of glue showing, because we're going to be covering all that up with other little bits and pieces and little goodies that we're going to stick on here and make our harvest wreath beautiful. Anyways, takes a minute for it to cool down. Sometimes blowing helps. Okay, we're going to put some more glue up here. Try to do it sort of underneath again so it doesn't show too much, because you don't want the look of your stuff, there's a string. That's what I was talking about. These little bits. Definitely don't want those on there. Okay, so once your glue is secure, you can always check it by picking up, giving it a little shake. Your glue is hardened. It's a very hot day today, so our glue is not hardening very quickly. So just make sure your glue has set properly before you start jiggling it around. And once it's all set, you're ready to do the next piece. So this is the other part of the pick that I took apart. And what I was going to do is overlap these two just to give it a bit of a shape. And then the pumpkin I took off, I was going to stick in here somewhere. And then we'll make a little bow towards the end of the video, and I'll teach you how to do those as well. So again, I've bent my my wires in a bit so that they can be hidden inside the wreath, if at all possible. And we'll just tuck it in like so. And in this case, because it's sticking up a little bit, I think I'm going to use a small piece of wire just to secure it a little bit more firmly. And again, like I said, any wire will do. If it's not a dark green like this, you can always hide it with some of your pieces of, pick. So what I'm going to do is just tuck this in, go around both pieces just to give them a little extra security, especially if it's on a door where it's going to be moving around quite often. You don't want your lovely homemade wreath to fall apart on you. So I'll feed this through, and you should see them come out the back. There's one, there's the other. Okay. And when you see them come out the back, just push firmly on the front, grab both ends, and give them a real good twist. And then just tuck them in between the grapevines somewhere so that you can't see them anymore. That's the key. Just hide all your connections. And there we go. And that piece is pretty nice and secure now. I am going to put a little dot of glue on these leaves just to keep them under control. And again, be careful of strings. Just hold that down for a minute. Oh, hot. And yeah, I think that one's okay, actually. You don't want to flatten everything out too much because then you won't have any texture left on your on the pretty parts. So this is the stage we're at now. Just want to hold it up and give you a look. And so I'm thinking maybe the pumpkin in there, and then we'll put a bow down here and cover up all of our connections in here. And you'll end up with a lovely crescent-shaped harvest wreath. So again, we're going to take off some of this extra paper that came on the pick that we started with. And what I'm going to do with the pumpkin, because he's a little bit floppy and he's also big enough to catch wind, I am going to stick his wire right through the wreath and secure him that way, because that will keep him on there far better than the glue gun. Because the glue may let go if there's any force applied to him. And being large, that's a good chance if somebody bumps it or anything like that. So just tuck him in. And when his end comes out the back, you grab onto his end and just kind of position him where you would like him. And I'm thinking right around there somewhere looks pretty much right. And then we'll stick our bow in there. So this little guy, what I'm going to do here is put a little piece of glue in where the wire is coming out of the wreath, just to attach it here at the back where it's not visible. Kind of make the glue sink into the wreath and cover those grapevine stems in there, and then bend it. Hold on to it from the front so that you don't end up poking it back out when you bend this. Bend this back in and force it back through the wreath. Like so. And there you go. And it's all nice and tucked in. It's not poking. It won't scratch your door or anything. And there you are. And this little guy is on wire, so you can kind of position him as well. Sorry if I'm not quite getting the angle here. You just kind of adjust these with your fingertips until you're happy with the arrangement that you've got. There we go. And I think that looks pretty good because I have a nice little spot here for my bow, and then we're all set. We're almost done. It's a pretty quick and easy project once you get going on it, and just don't let it intimidate you. Have a little fun with it, and if you're not certain of where you want everything, just don't glue it down first. Use wire, and that way you can untwist it and then rearrange it as you see fit, and once you're happy with where it is, then you can tack it down with the glue. So, to do your wire ribbon, you will need a piece of wire. Again, I have florist wire, but any fine gauge wire will do. And what we do here is, you take a piece about like that, always cut at an angle, it just makes it look neater. And then you do a twist, bump, grab it again, twist, and then a bump. And I think I'm going to make 5 bumps. Do another twist, slightly smaller bump, twist, slightly smaller bump, about the same size as the last one. And then you want your little middle bump, the traditional center bump on a bow. So it's going to be a very small one. Twist it a little bit. And then feed your wire through. Feed your wire through that last loop, like so. And then you fold your bow around the wire. It's a little bit awkward because I'm trying to make sure you can see what I'm doing. And then you take both pieces of your wire and twist as tight as you can. So it holds your bow nice and secure. And then take our scissors and cut on the diagonal again, because it looks so much tidier. There we go. Get that out of the way. Don't put it in front of the glue gun. Don't want our ribbon melting. And then you just shape it with your fingers. So you take your long pieces. There we go. And you don't want them to look perfect because then it just looks kind of fake. So you want to kind of give them a little bit of life to them. Like not perfectly round. And of course, your bow doesn't have to be perfect before you put it on there, because once you get it on there, you're going to adjust it some more just to make it fit in with all your goodies. But I'm pretty happy with this one. There we go. And there's your bow for your holiday wreath. And then you just kind of decide approximately where you would like it. I think I kind of like it. Now, do I like it more like this? Yeah. Yeah, I think that spot's a good spot for it. So we'll sort of push these up. And then you take your wire that you built your wreath on and kind of stick it in through the wreath. And a good idea is to separate the two ends a tiny bit. You have it twisted tightly up at the top, but if you separate your ends like this, you can put it through and then join them back on the other side, and that will make it very secure. And the nice thing about working with wire is it gives you a lot of play. You can fix things up, change things around a little bit. It's not nearly as permanent as a glue gun. And the other cool thing is that using wire, you can always replace bits that get damaged or if they fade in the sun, which it should take some amount of time, but the whole idea is to make this as a permanent wreath so you can have it for years, and over years it will fade a little bit. If it's on wire, it's very easy to replace just the odd piece here and there as necessary. Okay, so I'll come here to the back of my wreath, and then we will twist this all up again, really nice and tight. And we'll snip the ends off, just so we don't have as much to tuck in. There we go. And now I'll just bend these little pieces in. And just some final adjustments here for your bow. And there you have it. Our lovely Lakeside Harvest Wreath. Thank you for watching our do-it-yourself Lakeside Garden Gallery Harvest Wreath, made with all of our Lakeside Garden Gallery items that we have available in our store. And if you do create your own wreath, please feel free to share it with us by posting and tagging us at Lakeside Garden Gallery. And please definitely drop us a line in the comments and let us know what you would like us to demonstrate next. Hope you enjoyed it and have a great day.